Hello, and welcome to another edition of A Moron on YouTube Pretending to be a Lawyer, with today's special guest, a completely random and anonymous idiot in the comment section. Now let me start by saying I am not a lawyer. I'm just some YouTube hobo making videos purely for entertainment purposes. Do not take anything I say as legal advice. As everyone knows, if you want real legal advice, read through the comment section. That's where the real experts are. And I don't mean comments left by you. You're my favorite viewer. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the FCC laws and rules around personal radio communications. That's GMRS, FRS, CB radio. Mostly things that you probably did not know that you cannot do. I'm also going to talk about what will happen when you break those laws. And I'll talk about one very important issue. I've seen a lot of people talking about it on the YouTubes, and that is that if you have a GMRS license, does that grant the FCC the authority to bust down your door at 2 a.m. to inspect your radios without a warrant? Now, this video is going to be mostly me just reading off of my notes, the laws, the rules. I will try to keep it short and to the point because I know how valuable your time is to you. I would never waste your time like those other YouTubers do. I'm not going to do some fancy, stupid intro with music and graphics. I don't waste your time that way. All of these rules are taken directly from the Electronic Code of Federal Regulations website. These are straight from the horse's mouth, the horse being the FCC or the federal government. All of these rules apply to personal radio communications, FRS, GMRS, MERS, I don't know why we bother talking about MERS, and CB radio. Every time I do a video about MERS, 3 people leave a comment saying MERS is the best thing in the world. I've got some MERS radios coming. We'll do a review on a couple of MERS radios. We'll see if that's true. All these rules apply mostly to GMRS and FRS, but there is some bleed over with MERS and CB radio. So the first one you probably already know. To transmit on GMRS frequencies, you must have a GMRS license. GMRS license is just like a fishing license. There's no test. You just pay the FCC to use our free airwaves. Some people say it is actually a test to maneuver your way through the FCC website, which many people say is the world's worst constructed website. If you don't have your GMRS license yet, there's a link below to my website with step-by-step instructions how to pay for your GMRS license. The next rule is that you may only transmit on GMRS or FRS frequencies with a FCC certified GMRS or FRS radio. The Baofeng UV5R is not certified by the FCC for use on GMRS or FRS. You can listen to GMRS or FRS or ham or whatever you want with this radio, but according to the FCC, you are violating the law if you transmit on GMRS or FRS or MERS with a uncertified GMRS, uncertified radio. If you buy a radio and it is certified and then later the FCC decides to uncertify it, you may still continue to use that radio. When using GMRS, you must identify with your GMRS call sign at the end of every transmission or at least once every 15 minutes. You must do this in English only, or Morse code. Now, one thing that you may have heard of, I've read a lot about it on the Reddit and on other YouTube videos, is that when you apply for your GMRS license, you grant the FCC permission to come into your home at any time, any day, break down the door if necessary, to inspect your equipment. So let's see what the rules actually say. I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm going to be looking down and reading it because I don't want to be misquoted by the completely random and anonymous idiot in the comment section. So this is what the rule says. If an authorized FCC representative requests to inspect any station in the personal radio services, the station operator or licensee must make the station and any applicable records available for inspection. I am not a lawyer. I interpret this as saying, if the FCC sends me a letter or calls me on the phone or knocks on my door and requests, the word requests, to inspect my station, I will be happy to bring it to the front porch and allow them to inspect it. Nowhere does it say, or nowhere do I interpret this as giving the FCC representative, who, by the way, they are not sworn police officers. They don't carry weapons as far as I know. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they don't. It does not mean they can break down your door at 2 a.m. without a warrant and rifle through all your stuff looking for a radio to inspect. I do not interpret that as giving the FCC the authority to break down your door at all hours, to barge into your house to inspect your equipment. Now, some other things that you cannot do that you probably didn't know. If you are acting as the representative of a foreign government, you may not transmit on GMRS, FRS, MERS, or CB radio. You cannot use GMRS, FRS, CB, or MERS if you are transmitting from a boat that is not registered. When transmitting on GMRS, you may not encrypt your transmissions. You may not scramble them so that other people don't know what you're saying. You also may not obscure what you are saying by the use of code words. So you cannot say something like, "The eagle has landed," meaning that the person you're stalking just got to wherever they were going, or "the package is on the move," when the person you're stalking is driving away. You cannot obscure what you're saying in any way. That would be violating the law. But you can use 10 codes, 10.4, 10.9, my favorite, 10.100. You may not transmit music. You may not whistle. No whistling. Did you know you can't whistle on your radio? No advertisements or offers of goods or political candidates. Digital data. On GMRS, this refers to GMRS only. You may only transmit location information or a brief text message, and that transmission may not be automatic and must not exceed 1 second in duration, and no more than once every 30 seconds, or you will be in violation of the law. You cannot use your radio to do anything that violates other laws. For example, using your radio to coordinate the storming of the White House. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. It's against the law. You cannot interfere. You cannot intentionally interfere with someone else trying to talk on the radio at the same time. If you interfere with them, that means just keying up and transmitting when they're trying to talk because it's funny. Against the law. You may not use obscene or indecent words or language. You cannot transmit false or deceptive communication. In other words, you can't lie when you're talking on your GMRS or FRS radio. You cannot transmit false distress signals or call for help falsely. You cannot use the word Mayday unless you are on a boat or on an aircraft and are actually in need of help or emergency assistance. Do not say Mayday. I can say it on YouTube. No, not going to say it on the radio. Here's another one that stirs up a lot of controversy with the experts. Now, this is a GMRS radio. You may not connect to the public switched network. That means telephone system. Cannot connect to a telephone. Usually you would do this, or you might want to do this if you have 2 repeaters and you want to connect them together. You can't connect them using a telephone. You may connect those 2 repeaters or 2 radios, whatever, using the internet. The internet is not the public switched network. Public switched network means telephone. Internet means porn. They're not the same. What I do not know is, what if you use a modem to connect to the internet? Back in the old days, you used a modem to connect to AOL to download your porn. So I don't know if you're using a modem to connect to the internet to connect your radios. Is that allowed? That one's over my pay grade. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. We're going to have to wait for the actual anonymous lawyers and doctors, bodybuilders, to leave a comment and set us straight on that one. You can connect via a telephone to remotely control your radio. So you can use a telephone or the public switch network to turn your radio off and on or change the channels to remotely control it. You just can't use that public switched network to transmit over the radio. And finally, the last law that you probably didn't know is that if your child is using your radio, they are not responsible for anything they do. So all their screw-ups, you are responsible for. So what happens when you break the rules? Now, I've talked about this many times in many videos over and over and over. I've seen comments on the Reddit and other YouTube videos and Facebook and websites and pretty much everywhere. Comments from certain groups of people. I'm not going to say who, because that say that if you break any of those rules, if you use a uncertified radio to transmit on GMRS, for example, you will go to jail. You will get a $10,000 fine. Park rangers are issuing tickets. They're looking for UV5Rs, just ridiculous things that people have posted. So let's clarify. I'm reading now because, again, I don't want to get it wrong and be corrected by some random legal scholar that's completely anonymous in the comments section. This is what the FCC says. If it appears to the FCC that the operator of a personal radio services station has violated the Communications Act or the FCC's rules, the FCC may send that operator an official notice concerning the apparent violation. They will send you a letter. Upon receipt of such official notice, the operator, that's the lawbreaker, breaking the law, the operator must respond in writing to the FCC office that sent the letter within the time period stated in the letter and comply with all instructions in the notice concerning the response. So you get a mean letter accusing you of breaking the rules. So you get a mean letter, but what are the actual penalties? Here's what will happen. If the FCC finds that the personal radio service station operator is using a personal radio service station in a way that violates one or more sections of the Communications Act or of the FCC rules, the FCC may order the operator to cease and desist. Another letter asking you to stop breaking the law. So you get a warning letter that you have to respond to, and or you'll get another meaner letter saying, please stop. So when you ignore those two letters, if a federal court finds that a personal radio service station, so let's back up, because many people have stated online that the FCC directly issues citations, directly issues fines, directly puts handcuffs on you and takes to jail. That's not how it works, at least not according to the federal regulations, laws. I'm going to put a link. Did I say I was going to put a link to this so you can read it yourself? Don't take my word for it. I'm just some YouTube hobo reading words. I'll put a link so you can read all this yourself from the Federal Electronic Code of Federal Regulations website. Where was I? If a federal court finds that a personal radio service station operator has willfully and knowingly, so you had to do this on purpose, not accidentally, not one time on your off-road group, willfully and knowingly violated any provision of the Communications Act, that operator may be fined up to $10,000 or imprisoned for a period not exceeding 1 year, or both. So if you ignore the letters, if you keep doing what the FCC has nicely asked you to stop doing, and then you ignore what they tell you to stop doing, then you go to court, and then, if found guilty, then you get the shaft. Now, the FCC, as required by law or Congress or somebody, requires them to publicly let us know every time this happens. There is a database that they keep of all the citations and violations. And as I have stated many times before, never once has somebody been cited or gotten in trouble for simply transmitting on a UV5R. Now, I've said this because a lot of people don't like this radio. Certain groups of people, they make up lies saying that you'll go to jail if you use this radio. I don't know why they focus on this radio. I don't know what is it in their psyche. What's wrong with them that makes them do this? I don't know. I don't care. It's funny. But never once has somebody gotten in trouble for just using one of these radios. Now, every time I say that, some anonymous and random idiot will leave comments saying, well, some guy committed a murder and he was talking to his friend on the UV5R, so he got in trouble for using UV5R, or they were using UV5Rs in addition to other radios when storming the White House or committing some terrorist act. I know it's complicated to understand, but that is not the same as using a UV5R with your off-roading group to communicate to each other. So they didn't get in trouble for using a UV5R. They got in trouble for doing heinous things, and they just so happened to be using a UV5R or other legal radios to break the law. So that's different. I know that's difficult for some people to understand, apparently. Now, for an example, on a previous video, somebody linked when I said nobody has ever gotten in trouble for using a UV5R. Somebody posted a link to the FCC website where a guy did get in trouble. He wasn't using a UV5R. He was running a pirate radio station out of his kitchen for 10 years. And he got a mean letter from the FCC, which he ignored. And then he got another mean letter that said, you need to stop. It was the cease and desist letter, which he ignored. That was several years ago in 2017. He is still operating his pirate radio station. Nothing has happened. Now, I am not advocating, suggesting, or insinuating that you break any of these rules. I've said many times, I'm going to say it again, I do not advocate breaking the rules. Rules are what separates us from the savages, the beasts. We need rules and order to maintain a civilization. So don't break the rules. Now I've gone over these rules that you didn't know about so you can be sure not to break the rules. I said at the beginning this would be short and to the point. I don't know. I probably failed at that. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. If I got anything wrong, feel free to correct me, but you'd better include a source to how and why I got it wrong, because I was basically reading all this stuff right from the FCC. I may have interpreted it wrong. Bear in mind that dickhead comments, know-it-all comments, your opinion, which nobody cares about the music or the color in the background or how long my hair is. Nobody gives a shit about your opinion, especially me. Comments 10 pages long explaining radio theory and constitutional law, all those what we consider and what normal people call dickhead comments. Those will be pinned to the top for everyone to enjoy. One thing that I don't mention often is that once your comment, not your comment, you are my favorite viewer. Once a stupid comment gets pinned to the top, the author of that comment doesn't get the chance to reply to defend himself or herself. It's never a her, it's always a him. And they almost always say, I've been a him for years. But not always. Once that comment gets pinned, the opportunity to reply and defend yourself is gone. So you get one chance. So don't screw it up. If you have questions, leave it below. I will do my best to answer. If I'm not able to answer it, somebody else will come by and we'll try to answer it, and they will probably get it wrong. So bear that in mind. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you on the trail.